My name is Paul Wooliver. I'm the owner of Pinellas Power Products. This is my installation instruction video for my extended run fuel time kit for the Champion 15,000 watt peak / 12,000 watt continuous run generator. This is an open frame single phase generator, so it's going to make it very easy to work on. The kit will come with everything you need except for the remote fuel tank, and that's because no two people are going to want the exact same size fuel tank. So you'll order your fuel tank or pick it up locally, and that way you're not paying me to ship a box of air across the country. At any rate, the first step will be to verify that the fuel selector valve is in the off position. This would be fuel on, this would be fuel off. And then we're going to remove the stock fuel filter. And the clamps that are used on this generator are Corbin type clamps. So I'll show you how they work as soon as I take this one off. Then I can get the camera in a lot better. The Corbin clamps, to undo them, you simply squeeze in on the two tabs and the clamp will expand, and then you pull the clamp and the hose off the end of the hose barb that's on the fuel selector valve. I'm going to go ahead and remove the fuel filter entirely. Along with the Corbin clamp. Okay, included in the kit is a bag of small parts, one of which happens to be a flash drive with a copy of the video that you're watching right now. So we're going to take a T-fitting out of the kit, or out of the bag. We're going to put the T-fitting in this end of the hose that used to be connected to the stock fuel filter. Then we'll take one of the nylon hose clamps that's included in the kit, and we'll put it around the fuel hose. We'll crimp it down nice and tight. We're going to face the T-fitting up in the air. I don't know if you can see that clearly. But the upright for the T-fitting will actually point straight up and straight down instead of straight down. So I'll go ahead and crimp this clamp on. And I'm going to take the piece of 1/4-inch hose. It's included in the kit. Now slide one end onto the fuel selector valve. You'll notice that the fuel filter that we removed had a short section of hose, but that short section of hose is just a little bit too short. So now, with the fuel T-fitting in place on this end of the hose, we're going to slide it as far over as it'll go so that we've got plenty of play on the other end of the hose. And we're going to trim this hose length appropriately to fit onto this T-fitting. And now we'll make sure that we cut it to the right length. Okay, that actually worked out perfectly. I try to cut them just a little bit longer than I think they'll need, because if it's too long, I can always cut it shorter. The kit does come with enough hose that if you accidentally cut it too short, you'll have enough for another shot at it. You'll use 2 more of the nylon clamps that came in my kit for each end of this hose. Okay. Then we're going to mount the inlet quick disconnect fitting right here. If you stick your hand behind this area, you can feel an opening in the web, so that on this side here you've got the 2 tops of the triangle that are clearly visible, and in about right here there's a web. So you want to center the hole right here. Be careful when you're drilling this hole, if you're using a step drill like I do, that you don't drill it too big. You can always enlarge the hole, but you can't make it smaller. Okay, that's as far as I want to go with a step drill. I'm just going to use a repairman's reamer to just barely take a little bit more out of it. I don't want to go all the way to the next size on that step drill. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to take the hose barb that's included in the kit, and we're going to thread it onto the quick disconnect fitting, and we're going to tighten it down to where it pinches the plastic so it works like a panel mount. The kits come with a roll of Teflon tape, so you use Teflon tape on the threads. When you wrap the Teflon tape around the threaded portion, be careful not to overlap the end. You'll stay down here. If you were to lap it up and over here, then it's going to cut that section off when you thread it together, and now that section, truth be known, will be caught in the fuel filter, but you don't want more debris in the fuel filter than need be. And I am wrapping this the wrong direction around the threads. You should always wrap in the direction that it'll go for tightening. That way it doesn't bunch up the tape. So as you're looking at it from the end, you want to go clockwise around it, not counterclockwise. Again, being careful not to overlap the end of the thread. I'm going to want the barbs on this pointing downward because the remote tank is going to be sitting next to the generator. The hose will be running along the ground and then up. And again, we want it to sandwich down on that plastic so it holds itself in place nicely. That's pretty snug. Okay. Now we're going to take another section of the hose to run from the T-fitting here up to the hose barb. I don't know if you can see that clearly, but here's the T-fitting and here's the hose barb. And we want it to run a nice gentle loop. So I'm going to put it on the hose barb first. And then measure out a nice gentle loop to the T-fitting. I'm going to say that's right where the S on the word shield is. Like I say, if you do accidentally cut either of the hoses slightly too short, there is extra hose, so you'll have another shot at it. Okay. I'm going to put just a little bit of oil on that hose barb because it makes my life a lot easier when I got to put this hose on here. Okay. You want to make sure that this hose has a nice smooth bend. If the hose is too sharp a bend like this, it'll kink flat. You want it to be a nice smooth radiused bend like this. Now we're going to take two more hose clamps, put one at the hose barb up here and the other one down by the T-fitting, and then squeeze them tight. See that or not? Okay, so this takes care of this end. Now, come over here. We're going to remove the air filter cover, and you just take these two wing nuts and turn them vertically. Pull the cover off. This is the fuel hose that you saw the other end of. What we're going to do is put a new fuel filter in this location, so you'll pull this cover off to service the air filter and the fuel filter. you can either use the old fuel filter or use the fuel filter that came with the kit. What you'll do is slice the hose, make sure that it's laying in place, and slice the hose fairly close to the center of this intake runner. Because remember, the fuel filter is going to have some length to it. So I'm going to cut the hose right here, and we're going to have gasoline dripping out because this generator has been run before. You'll notice the hose has a protective sleeve around it. So we're going to cut the protective sleeve back just a little bit so we've got room for the hose clamp. And we'll do that on both ends. You're going to want the arrows on the fuel filter to point in the direction of fuel flow, which is obviously from the fuel tank to the fuel pump. And then we'll take 2 more hose clamps. As you remember, the fuel hose ran right through here. With the extra length that we gained by adding hose to the other end, we can put it right across here so that way it passes underneath this little brace in this cover, which needs to go above it to push the air filter in place. So the fuel filter is going to ride right across here. On this cover, you'll notice that there are 2 round guides, one up here and one up here. These 2 tapered pins will go in those guides, and this is going to go above the fuel filter. So you'll slide it into place, and as you remember, the wing nuts were vertical when it was in the release position, so we'll push it all the way into place and then turn them horizontally, and now they're locked in. The last step of the installation process is going to be to take the operating instructions and stick them to the top of the generator, which is where it'll be clearly visible when you're actually using the generator. Okay. On this generator, there's a nice flat area right here on the end of the fuel tank to stick the operating instructions. I'll point out right now that step 7 is not a misprint on the operating demonstration video, I'll go into how to operate the generator. The kit also comes with a prime bulb hose, which is used to connect the generator to the remote tank, and another quick disconnect fitting, which you'll screw into the remote tank so that you've got everything you need except for the tank itself. If you have any questions and you're watching this video on YouTube, if you look in the description section of the video, it's got a link to my website, and you can contact me on the email or at my phone number. If you're watching this video on my website, then you've already found the information on this kit, and you've got the information you need. I thank you for watching.